Hi, my name is Kathy Hedgie-Byrich, and I wanted to at least say hello before I started the presentation. I am going to be talking to you today about how to select a CRM or an email marketing system. And I'll talk a little bit about what that is, what the features are, what the difference is between a CRM and an email marketing system, as well as some questions that you can answer for yourself so that you can help select one. I'm not going to go into all the details of all the different possibilities. In the handout, I will include a list of some of the common ones so that you can look at those. But there's so many differences and there's so many different features that it really depends on your business as to which one you select. So I wanted to give you the chance to see more of an overview and get a sense of what you need to think about when you're starting into an email marketing system or CRM, or when you're wanting to switch to a new one. So what are some of those considerations? So I will look forward to having any questions in the Facebook group or separately if need be. But right now, what I wanted to do is share a little bit with you. And I'm going to switch over to screen sharing and give you my screen with my presentation, and then I'll come back and say goodbye. All right, so let's switch over to the screen. And now you should be seeing my screen. And so this is, again, how to select a CRM or an email marketing system. And I don't know where you all are in terms of your email marketing, whether you're new, whether you've been doing this for a while. So hopefully this will at least be somewhat helpful to you in whichever place you are. What I wanted to do was to look at, there are many choices. So like I said, you sort of need to decide what's the right fit for your particular business, for where you're at. This is just a sampling of some of them that are out there. These are some of the common ones. There are several others as well, obviously, but hopefully we can give you some suggestions. So first of all, what is a CRM? For those of you who don't know, it stands for Customer Relationship Management, and it is a system or a strategy for managing client interactions. Typically, it'll be a list of people and what types of things they do with you, notes that you might take when you're interacting with them. Maybe you're having phone calls, your salespeople are having phone calls. So it's a place where you can keep all of that data. But it ends up being quite a bit more with the newer systems particularly. So what I want to look at now is, how are you managing your contacts? If you're not using a CRM yet, it's possible that you have a Rolodex with business cards in it. You might have Excel spreadsheets. A lot of us have that for our contacts, so that we have our names and addresses and phone numbers and maybe a little space for some notes. Are you using paper, a notepad, just to keep notes? No judgment here. You can do that. It's just going to be cumbersome and you won't be able to do as much with that. So that's partly what this is for, is to move us beyond some of these things. A smartphone with an address book is something a lot of us use, and that can be handy. But if you have a CRM, it will include that. So the other thing is Outlook or Google Contacts often is what we're using. If you're onto the internet versus using the quote unquote older method of Rolodex, Excel, notepads. So a CRM then takes all of those older ways into the newer generation, and it becomes a contact list, but it has a brain. So the CRM puts the brain into that list that you're keeping. And ideally, you're going to have something that will include all of these things listed. A contact management, like we just talked about, an automated way to boost your leads and sales because you're going to know more about your customer. You want it to be accessible, no matter where you are, what device you're using, whether it's an iPhone, a tablet, a computer. You want to be able to get that data. We're so mobile these days and we're on the run, and we need to be able to get people. If you have it in a notepad back in the office, that's not going to help you. Many of you may have teams or even one other person on your team, and they need to be able to access that information too, and they need to be able to input information that you'll be able to see. So something that's available to the entire team is really critical. And then, as I've alluded to, collecting customer data, but not just phone numbers and addresses. You want also to be able to gather insight so that you can personalize your follow-up, so that you can tell what people are doing. There are systems out there that will let you basically know what you're doing. So it's not just about tracking and maintaining contact information, but it's also recording the customer's interactions with you, whether it's by phone, by email. It's really a gold mine, because you're losing opportunity if you don't track what people are doing and how they're interacting with you, because you can target market very much more specifically if you know what the customers want and what they're looking for and what they're interacting in your emails, all of those kinds of things. That's what a CRM can help you with. So it will improve productivity. It'll help you increase sales, and your customers will be more satisfied because you're going to be focusing on what they need versus other things that you think they might need. So what's the difference between a CRM and an email marketing system? So the CRMs have really evolved. So now they have become a hub that allows you to do all these things. So in my perspective, they're sort of one and the same. They probably are. There are systems that are only CRMs. There are systems that are only email marketing systems. So for example, Aweber is one of the common email marketing systems. It doesn't really function as a CRM. You can't hold lots of contact information in there. You can put some notes, but not a whole lot. The same with One Shopping Cart, which is another one that's very common in the coaching circles. You can put some notes in, but it's more of an email marketing and an e-commerce system. However, both of those can be used to do email marketing, and you can maintain some customer data and some information about what your customers are doing based on reports. So I'm not saying that those two are not good. They are. They're just not full force. So some of the systems that you're going to find out there are going to have some things, others will have other things. No, there's no one real system that's perfect. But here are a few of the things that your central hub will let you do. So you can manage your leads, you can follow up with prospects on an automated basis, and automation is a big part of this. You can manage your sales funnels so that you can help people move from one stage to another in the sales process. Email marketing campaigns, many of you may be familiar with that, so that somebody signs up for something and they get a follow-up email, and then 2 days later another email based on what their interest is. And then customer loyalty. When you're sending emails and nurturing your clients, even after they've purchased, you're continuing to nurture them and educate them, they're going to be more loyal to you because they're getting what they need from you. So the CRM/email marketing system is what I sort of pull all together as that central hub, and that's an all-in-one solution. That would be the ideal system to use. So some criteria you need to consider. You've established, hopefully, that you should probably be using a CRM or an email marketing system or one and the same. What do you think about when you're considering that? Of course, budget is one of the issues. They range from free to over $300, some up to $1,000 a month. So you really need to be clear about what you need and what each of those systems will do for you, and what your budget is. Because if your budget is $10 a month, you're not going to be able to afford one of those that's a higher level one. Doesn't mean you're going to get a horrible system. You just need to be clear about what you can afford. And when you're thinking about that, be realistic about what you need, because you've got to pay something to get the bigger services. But if those services are going to bring in more sales for you, then it's worth that initial investment for sure. You also need to think about your team. Like I said earlier, you want to educate the team in what this system is, but they also need to buy into it. If they don't use it, it's going to be not worthwhile having. So you need something that your team will be able to use, something that's easy for them to use and learn, or that they can step into and grow into, because if the people on your team and you don't use this, then you're not going to have the data you need. You may need to hire somebody to do the initial setup, because then that'll save you from worrying about how to do that. And then sometimes that person can also train you and your team in using the system. Mobility, we've talked about. These days you have to have something that's mobile friendly, or at least that you can access from different devices. That's really pretty critical. Automation, again, you need something that can take care of some of this follow-up for you. You don't want to have to be in every time somebody signs up for something. You don't want to have to send them an email. That's the whole point of having automation. So if you have a system that will automate that process for you, that's going to make it much easier for you to use. Scalability, so you start, maybe you have 400 clients or 400 contact names, but in 2 years you may have 2,000. So you want something that can grow with you so you don't have to switch every time you grow. Sometimes you start small. Sometimes you do start in a free service because that's what your budget will allow. And that's okay. You can move things into other services. But if you foresee that you're going to be launching and you're expecting to grow within the next 6 months, then it would be advisable to find something that's going to fit what you need from the beginning so that you can grow into it. Flexibility is something too. You want to be able to customize. You want to be able to use the system in the way you need right now, and then later add things to it as you need to. So think about that or ask questions about flexibility. And then integration is something a lot of people don't necessarily think about, but you're using a lot of systems usually out there. So you may have an email marketing system, or that may be what you're looking at doing, but does it integrate with whatever you use for payments? So that if somebody purchases, will they be added to a list, or will they be able to get automated follow-up once they purchase? So that would be a purchase system integration. Do you do webinars? If you do webinars, you want something that will integrate with your webinar system so that people can sign up for the webinar or pay for the webinar and then automatically be pushed into the webinar. There are many systems out there that do integrate with the CRMs or the email marketing systems quite easily. And you may need a little help, but often they offer a lot of support. So think about the integrations you might need. Reporting is another thing. You really do want to be able to analyze your data. If you can't analyze it, then you don't really know what it's good for and what your results are. So you want to think about what kind of reporting do you need, and does this system that you're considering have reporting capabilities? All right, so just to recap a few of the features that you want to make sure you have. And some of this is repeat, but remember, we repeat things and we remember them, right? So it's customizable. As I said, it's accessible. So it's cloud-based, which would mean that you can access it anywhere because it's available through whatever the cloud system is. It's integrated with other solutions. It's flexible. It's user-friendly. Even though that says user friends, it's user friendly and it's easy to use. Security is something else I haven't really mentioned, but that's really critical as well, because you want to make sure that your client's data is not compromised. So you'll want to make sure that they back up the data, or that it's stored securely on their servers, whatever system this is. So what you need to do now is think about, what do you need? And to start doing that, you evaluate what your processes are, so you'll know better what features are going to be helpful. So think about what you do, what systems you're using, what kinds of systems you want to use if you're not using them, and prioritize even. What is the most important feature for you and your team in starting with an email marketing system or a CRM? That'll help make the cost-effective purchase so that you'll know exactly what features you need and what you don't need, because a lot of these have extra features, some of which are costs and some aren't. So you do want to evaluate what you're doing so that you can then ask the right questions to move forward. So I've got a couple of pages here of questions, and they're kind of smaller print, but they're really kind of important to you because you really want to be able to think about your situation and ask these questions of yourself, write down the answers, and then look at a couple of the systems that might be appropriate for you based on your questions or based on your answers. So you determine what's being done manually. that could be automated. And I do this with a number of clients where we basically go through the whole process of what they're doing and we find all these pieces that can be automated, that they or their team don't need to be doing, so that they can be freed up to then do other things that they need to be able to do. So sales calls are difficult to automate, but sending a follow-up email is a very easy thing to automate. So think about those processes, and that'll even help you not just with your email marketing system, but it will help you moving forward in your business and putting your processes and systems together better. Will that software that you're looking at, will it handle that automation that you need? Is it easy to use? As we said, can the team pick it up fast? And you can usually get trials of these systems so that you could even go in and play, or have your VA or a team member go in and play with the system and see if they feel that it's intuitive, or if they have any problems. You can see demos sometimes if they don't have free trials as well. So is it something that you can pick up fairly quickly? Customizable, we talked about, and also will it provide templates for your emails? Not all systems do, and that may be fine. You may have a great designer on staff, or you may be a designer and you don't need that. Templates don't have to be fancy either. So sometimes a system that doesn't provide a template, it's easy enough to put one together. But there are systems out there that have beautiful decorated templates that are very easy to set up, and that may be what you need. So if that needs to be on your priority list. Can you create your own? Do you have to use their templates, or can you create your own? Most of them will allow you to do that. So what features do they have? Are those features what you need? That's another question. Easy to integrate, we talked about. Are there any limitations in using it? Are there contact limits? Are there email limits of how many sends you can have? Are there limits in terms of how many campaigns you can run, how many users you might be able to have? So all of those are limitations, and you need to think about those. Sometimes the cost depends on the number of contacts you have, how many emails you have going out each month, how in depth the campaigns are, how many you're running. So you want to ask some of those questions as well. And then a few more questions. What's the total cost? So not just the monthly cost, which will be, that'll be the main part of what you pay, but is there a setup fee? Are there additional fees? And like I just said, if you need to add more users or contacts, is there a charge for that? So you not only when you're thinking about budget, you want to make sure that you're getting all of the costs that are going to be incorporated into this system. What is the reporting capability? One of the big reasons that email marketing is so popular with businesses is you can track its success. So the details are usually in that reporting capability. How many emails were opened, which emails bounced, who clicked on things, those kinds of things you want. That's really what you need to know, because then you'll know what people are actually responding to, and what's working, what's not working. What is deliverability like? So are you getting 10% of your emails in the inbox? And you can't always tell if it goes in the inbox. The open rates are kind of not the most accurate statistic, but it'll certainly give you an idea. If you're getting a 50% deliverability versus a 5% deliverability, you might want to find out what is their deliverability like. And that could be a comparison. I probably wouldn't put that as a high priority, because that's not necessarily the main stat that's going to give you the data you need. How does the system protect the customer's data? How is it backed up? I mentioned that. And then support is another issue, because a lot of times we want support 24/7. They don't all give you that. A lot of them do, or there's at least a chat feature where if you're in the middle of the night and you're playing on the computer and you're trying to figure something out, you want to be able to reach somebody. You can sometimes chat with them if you can't call. Others will do 24/7 calls. So whatever is important for you, that's what you want to find out if they offer that. Just so that you know what the system has. All right, and so I'm at the end here. I just wanted to reiterate that one system isn't for everybody. So there's multiple systems out there, many different issues, many different features. Most of them will probably work. If you selected one, it's not going to be a horrible selection. But asking yourself these questions, looking at some of this information, it'll help you find the best fit. because that's really what you want. You want something that starts you off in the best fit so you can be up and running as quickly as possible and then move it forward and grow it as time goes on. And so you don't worry too much about picking the perfect match. Get it as close as you can, but some people just never pick one because they keep wondering, is this the right one? Well, I don't want to invest in this. I don't want to start in this. Just start. It's really important to start. Even if you don't have the perfect one from the beginning, you can switch. There's a little work involved in switching. And that's why I'd rather have you start with the one that's the best fit to start with. But I've worked with people who have gone from one to another because their needs changed. And that may be the reality too. Your needs might change as time goes on. And so you just want to get started and move forward. So I hope that's somewhat helpful, at least in terms of thinking through what possibilities are out there. I'll come back here and say hello again. And if you have other questions, I'm sure we can try and get some answers to you, but hopefully that will give you a start. I appreciate your listening. All right, bye.